Happy Thursday. What is going on? What is that on the screen? Is that a Starbucks coffee
from our friend Kiss?
Oh man, dude. What a fun two spaces to start off the year. Yesterday was hype, man, dude. There is tons of interest in Bitcoin ordinals. There's also a lot more interest, a lot more beef that's happening. To even the discussion we had yesterday, and we're going to get into Emblem updates today. So please, everyone, make sure that you retweet the space at the top. I'm going to pin it right here so that everyone can come in. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening at Emblem over the last 6 months. So we do want to cover that today. But yesterday, the show that we had talking about BRC20, everyone was heated. Unisat came out today and said, fuck Domo. We're going with the upgrade.
BRC20 is ours now.
OKX came out and said, fuck Domo. We're upgrading as well. And Ordinal's wallet said, yeah, fuck Domo. We're upgrading as well.
So funny, man. It's crazy. So, I don't know. One of the guys, obviously, we know Sol was like, yeah, fuck Domo too. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting because he's somebody who's super technical. And if he's saying that this is actually the right path forward, I don't know enough about it to make a really educated call on it. But when really smart people and people, who we follow and are like, oh, that guy knows what he's talking about, is like, oh, actually, this is the best way forward. It makes me start thinking maybe that is the best way forward.
Sol's been quite critical of BRC20 since the beginning. It's the UTXO bloat kind of thing, kind of conversation. Me and him have been kind of in the same camp. I even retweeted my post from September saying that BRC20 will eventually fork and become its own meta protocol. I still somewhat agree with that. Domo's been kind of resistant to it. I get why, you're the creator and stuff, and he wants it to be simple. Obviously, if you create your own meta protocol or standalone meta protocol, then comes with a lot more intricacies and a lot more complexities that kind of come along with it. So, yeah, right. J-Dog knows. J-Dog knows operating a meta protocol. It is no easy business at all, right? That was kind of a similar situation with Stamps building on top of Counterparty, right? That's kind of similar situation with BRC20 on top of Ordinals.
100%.
They don't have to do as much of the heavy lifting as the people who are operating the bottom. So kind of interesting. And J-Dog, I hope next week we could talk about BTNS on the show. I'm excited to hear about it. I've been hearing a lot about it from Dogfather and a few other people. But first, Dogfather, man, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, great. So looking forward to today's space. So many things cooking from Emblem. So I have a couple of questions with respect to the SDK. I'm not asking when the Doge Party curated collection is gonna be. No, I'm really not asking. Right? I skipped that question. I'm looking forward to learn more about this SDK thing, because that's what people always underestimate, all the things under the hood, empowering websites like Peppy, WTF, and so on. So that's extremely important. I'm a data nerd, so I would love to know if I can also kind of like tap into this kind of data. So yeah, let's rock today.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to start, I pinned to the top a post that I put out right before the year started, and it was kind of just covering, I pinned it to the top. It was kind of my experience, working at Emblem over the last year, but more so, kind of covering, the emotional weight and the effort and things that happen behind the scenes that a lot of people don't really realize is going on. So I'm going to go through, set this timeline, and then we'll go into everything else. So Adam and I joined the team in November 1st of 2022. And within the first month or so, we got the first curated collection launched and tested, right? When Adam and I joined the team, a lot of people don't realize this. Emblem was two people, right? It was Shannon and Eric. You had one dev and you had one admin. Like the fact that they, helped assist over 30,000 ETH in trading volume across all these chains between two people, to me is just like, it is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like, dude, complete, just like it's a complete dev work, complete masterpiece. But obviously they needed a lot of help. So Adam and I came in, but obviously Adam and I are not developers, right? We're strategists, marketers, visionaries, this kind of do everything outside of dev work, right? So that helped up to a large degree of, driving the vision of where we needed to go. And it got to a point, right, where not BRC20, Bitcoin ordinals came to be, right, in February. Originally, when Ad and I joined the team, our discussion was trading historical NFTs, or bringing, much more awareness to historical NFTs. Ultimately, around the ordinal time, we realized, oh, this is much, much larger than just historical NFTs. This is literally the leading NFT interoperability protocol in the industry, right? Like at this point in time, we're sitting around 100 million TVV. It's a total value vaulted. It's the same thing as TVL, but in Emblem terminology, there is nothing even remotely close to that right now. And so, we're very proud to be those leaders there. But we realized, this is a very large endeavor that we're taking on here. And with Bitcoin ordinals, that just really showcased, right, that Emblem has this product market fit. First, it was with rare Pepes and Spells of Genesis. Then it was with Namecoin. Then it was with Ordinals. And then it was with Bitcoin stamps, right? Then it was with ETH subscriptions. And we were like, okay, this is not going away. This is only going to continue to accelerate. But as this demand kept increasing, Shannon is one person, right? This is one extremely talented who's now taking on all of these different protocols, right? And it came to this very tough decision. It was around May when we launched Rare Pepe curated collection. And there was two things that we were looking for. First was how many users would manually unvault Rare Pepes and then revault that into the curated collection, right? And the reason why we wanted to see that, right, is because of self-sovereignty. We don't want to have to get into the middle of anything, right? Emblem doesn't have access to your keys, but we do have access to what vaults are assigned over what type of private wallets, right? And that's kind of what migration is right now. And so ultimately, after about 2 months, we noticed that literally nobody is going to do this manually. Nobody wants to pay a $20 gas fee to unvault, take another 10 minutes, pay another $20 in gas fees to revault, right? So we easily identified that, as well as this confluence of the ETH subscriptions popping up and all these other meta protocols. We came to this decision that there's no way for Emblem to scale and become this seamless NFT interoperability protocol, and then just interoperability protocol in general, with this current model of Emblem Legacy. And so we talked about this for probably a few months of deciding on when to do it, how we're going to go about it. Ultimately, we found one solution. Our expectation, it took us almost a month to even set it up, getting in contact with all the marketplaces, getting in contact with all of the protocols like the NFT lending, anything that had Emblem or was using Emblem in a smart contract, we had to get in contact with, right? And this is like a very big unknown. We looked to all of the previous migrations that had happened in the NFT space, and there's really not that many. You could go back as early as Ether ID back in 2015 or 2016 is the earliest NFT migration we could find on Ethereum. Ultimately, we ended up reaching out to Goblin Town, who did a migration, I think for like 3 or 4 different contracts. We had a call with them. They gave us as much information as possible. But, Goblin Town did a migration of 3 different contracts. We're taking one legacy contract with 45,000 NFTs and moving it to about 40 different contracts, right? And it's like an absolute kind of like milestone that's never been even close to being attempted to do. So we decided, it's either we're going to migrate this or Emblem is going to probably cease to exist. So we're like, okay, right, this is the option that we have to do. So ultimately, we assessed what it would take. What we said was 2 to 3 weeks, right, is now about 6 months into this. And as we began to...
What were we thinking, man? It's hard to even fathom what our mindset was at the time. Like not understanding. It's like anything technical. Anybody who's built something technical, like even as simple as a website, you realize once you start going down a rabbit hole, the hole is just infinitely deeper than you could have imagined at the beginning. And that's, I think, what we ran into a bit.
Yeah, 100%. And so as we began to do this, right, a lot of strain on one person to do this. We realized there's a lot of other things that had to be built. We had to basically rebuild the entire database structure to how data is stored. We had to first look at the Emblem legacy and figure out what's even inside all of these vaults, right? We had to create a bunch of scripts to figure what is out there, because how Emblem legacy was built. First, there was a giant security, or I would say user safety hole, not security, user safety, because users could easily scam people, right? Creating a fake vault if you're not aware of what's going on here with what's being inside, right? That is a huge user safety thing. So that was one of the main reasons why we wanted to do this. You come in and you find out that there is literally thousands of different edge cases between these 45,000 different vaults. So first, that took a while to even identify. Then we basically realized, we have to build a migration tool. We have to build a jump tool. We have to build a bulk minting tool. right? So as we're getting this, we're preparing on the back end. We realize like, oh, this is a huge, kind of endeavor. So ultimately what we ended up doing is we talked with pretty much every VC or large, capital firm or even exchanges and teams about a potential, investment or allocation into the team. Ultimately at that time, right, it was in the middle of the bear market and not anybody, some people saw the vision, some didn't, but nobody wanted to allocate any capital, right? This is in the very middle of the summer, right? So draining resources there. We don't have this doesn't give it, right? Without capital, we can't hire additional developer support. So ultimately what we did is we just continued with operations, right? Then now we're 3 months into it. People are being frustrated, which is, completely understandable because of the timelines that we had set. And so I've learned to never set any timelines.
No, this is crypto, man. Never, no roadmap, no timelines. It's way better that way, man. Way better.
It is, right. And so what we ended up having to do next is our focus was getting Shannon help. How do we get this guy help? Ultimately, around December time, we're going to make this announcement. So you guys will be the first one to really hear this. One of my good friends, she was a senior engineer at Coinbase for 5 years. She left on her own terms. She worked directly with Brian Armstrong, good friend out here in Las Vegas. After talking with her for a few weeks, she is joining the team. Actually, today is her official first day on the job after about a month and a half of training and really trying to assess the situation. So we finally now have additional developer support. And so while this was happening, backtracking a little bit, we realized two other huge issues. One being that Emblem assets consistently get delisted off of OpenSea, and that a lot of the different tooling that we've built for people who have asked don't end up using these APIs and these tools that we built, right? So that's one major issue. The other major issue was that Emblem.finance is a shit show. Like to put it, very kindly, we're aware of this. It doesn't work on mobile, which we know. At the time when Emblem.finance was created, it's a fork of Uniswap from 2020, right? So you have to think about it in 2020. And I've actually tried to do some research. Outside of NFT marketplaces, Emblem could be the first NFT protocol that exists. Like before 2020, all you have is like Rarible, NFTX, which is liquidity pool, OpenSea. So, right, when Emblem was created, is really cutting edge kind of frontier technology. And a lot of these, efficient contracts and efficient front ends didn't exist at the time. Now, keep in mind, again, one developer up until today. And so to attack both of these solutions, we contracted 2 different development teams, one to work on Emblem.finance and build a new front end, and another one to build Emblem.markets. Emblem.markets or Emblem Markets, a marketplace, was something that was promised or told that they wanted to build back in 2021, right? When Rare Pepe and Counterparty had first taken off, right? It makes sense to curate a marketplace and platform to where all of the new contracts can sit without being lost. Because this is a big issue we get a lot. Sitting and troubleshooting all day is just me in Discord directing people on links of tutorial videos and links of contracts and how-tos. So we said, okay, Emblem needs a home. It needs a platform that can corral everything, all of these APIs, all of these contracts, right? Any type of new development. Excuse me. And so we contracted 2 different teams, Emblem.finance around September, and then Emblem.markets, a team contracted around October. Where those 2 currently stand now, and this is my own learning experience working with other development teams or contracted teams, you also have to get on their ass to build stuff. I thought it would be, hey, they do it on their own, right? We contract it. There's been a lot of delays in terms of tough communication between these teams. They need APIs. We have to build them, right? And then there's this lingering kind of Emblem legacy, solution that needs to be solved. So the current state of both of those is Emblem.finance, the new front end, is almost done, actually. It just needs now create vault, unlock vault has to be integrated. And this is where the SDK comes in, which we'll get into in a second. And then Emblem.markets, the design is done. We had an Emblem.markets call, and I'll get into a little bit more of that later as well. We had a call with the development team yesterday. And so our new developer and our team will be working on Emblem.markets with a big focus. And I'll get on legacy here in a second. So it's been, it's been a lot. And I know at times it seems like there's really nothing going on behind the scenes, but there is a lot. There's a lot.
How can it be so hard, Jake? It's just NFTs, man.
Right? And you also have Koval, right? Like Koval is something that's existed before Emblem was even created, right? Koval goes back to 2014. Then it was on Counterparty. Then it was on Ethereum. Now it's on Coinbase, which now you have, a lot of regulatory issues and that have happened in the US, because Emblem is an American company. We wanted to do staking. Nope, staking's not allowed. Wanted to do burning stuff. Nope, burning's not allowed, right? So there's all these different puzzle pieces to Emblem that has to be put together and meshed. And it takes a lot of time while trying to scale, right? With one person, it's been a very tough task. And then you get people with the when, which I get as well. And so if you could see here on the screen, I actually put a screenshot of what some of the early versions of what Emblem.markets is going to look like. It's in that thread. That was the first time that I'd really kind of posted anything about it. And I did blur out a few kind of pieces that I want to keep secret. And then this is also kind of the new Emblem front end, which is also in that thread as well. So we're hoping between these two pieces, Emblem.finance will be used for vault management and vault creation. And then Emblem markets will be for trading and B2B, applications, because there's going to be an Emblem app store that is going to be a large component to Emblem markets. And so now where we lead up to today, right, we've also begun talking with different investment teams who've begun to see the larger vision. One main reason is that with the explosion of Bitcoin ordinals, which we've kind of been on the forefront for, a lot of teams have come to us with the interest of when Emblem deploys on Bitcoin ordinals, right? The idea of like having your Bitcoin Punk as a Bitcoin asset, or having your rare Pepes even as a Bitcoin asset, like that is very intriguing to a bunch of users or to a bunch of teams. So we're kind of still in those early stages there. And so this is where the Emblem SDK comes in. After this long ramble, right? As of today, about 25,000 to 50,000 legacy vaults have been migrated. We have about 13 of 39 collections that are related to Emblem Legacy that have live support, which we're going to get into. We have about half a dozen backend products that we've created along this way. Bulk minting tool, a jump tool. The jump tool is the idea of, I'll use Rare Pepe, for example. Take your Rare Pepe on Ethereum, you click a button that says jump, then you move it to Polygon, then you move it to BNB, then you can move it to Bitcoin, right? This is like a very important cross-chain kind of functionality. And there's been a handful of other tools that have been created. And we've also had to create a lot of APIs on the back end as well as we've been upgrading, right? I think this is Emblem V3 now, I believe, is kind of where the actual new version of it is. So Emblem migration has become more less of a migration and more of just a complete system overhaul. So, I give props to Shannon. Dude, it's incredible the things that he's done up until this point. Like, it is truly mind-blowing, the fact of where we've got here. So I'm very excited that a new developer, very experienced back-end developer is going to be helping, so we can really get a lot of this move forward. Then we are also talking with a front-end developer to hopefully bring on here in the next few months. So here with the SDK, we realized, right, we'd contracted 2 different teams to build Emblem.markets, Emblem.finance, and we're rebuilding our whole entire system. Meanwhile, during the legacy migration, we've had a handful of teams reach out for various things. A lot of people want native vaulting solutions where it's like you can create a vault directly on your website. So for example, here I'll use pepe.wtf. With the SDK, you could essentially link something underneath all of the counterparty Pepes, and then you just click vault, and then you can vault it directly or to the rare Pepe collection, and it'll show up. So that's kind of like what the create vault is. And then the other two core functionalities is get metadata. So users can retrieve the metadata from any vault. And this is important for kind of like labeling and different types of kind of front end experiences. And then you could get vaults by address as well. And so essentially what the SDK is right now, it allows you to basically reconstruct Emblem.finance. So everything you see on Emblem.finance, you'll be able to build onto your web page with this SDK. So things like native vaulting, Emblem aggregators, multi-chain experiences, and then cross-chain solutions as well. We're going to continually add and develop on this. I mean, Shannon, I think, has already pushed one update that has the ability for bulk minting, which is batch minting. So this idea of being able to mint multiple vaults into in a single transaction, that is in the SDK. It's also something that Emblem will be pushing out as well. But we really we really intend to have a larger focus here on enterprise and B2B solutions for builders. There are a lot of people who build with Emblem, and there's a lot of people who plan to, whether it's a single team or an exchange or a marketplace. There is a lot of interest there, and so with the SDK, we encourage anybody who's interested in to talk with us. We're going to continually add and develop on the SDK at the request of users who are interested in it. It takes work off of our development team or effort, and it allows builders opportunity to generate revenue, right? So for like example here, we could toy around with the vaulting fees. And if a user wants to build a native vaulting solution, right, we can take less on the Emblem side so that the person who builds a native vaulting solution on their front end can also be economically incentivized to do so. So this gives us a lot of options for us and for builders to do. I know it's a lot to take in, and I saw like legacy and some of these other things to get in. But for the SDK, it was a vital moment for us because as we're working with Emblem.finance and Emblem.market teams and building our own backend, this really pieced it all together because both of these other teams were asking for very similar requests. And those requests were the three kind of key points in this SDK. And so we opened up a development channel in the Discord, which is intently going to be used for the SDK. And we're very open to adding any type of additions to the SDK that users want or that want to build with. We really want to work forward with this as we kind of expand this multi-chain kind of thesis, which I think is now really kind of in the forefront of the 2024 narrative as we see a lot more users dabbling in multiple chains even in a single day, which is quite crazy. Adam, to tell us your experience with Emblem over the last year, and then kind of like what you're expecting.
It's so interesting. It's like I think both of our visions have grown, since we joined the team. It was like this idea of like, oh, great, it's basically historical NFTs, right? And we'll build a marketplace for historical NFTs. But as we've gotten into it, and as ordinals happened, and then stamps and inscriptions and all the rest of them, it's like, oh wait, what we have here is just like this foundational layer which can live in Web3 and allow assets to move across chains. Like we can do that. Holy cow. Like the vision completely expanded for me, and I think for you and everybody on the team, where it just like hit us in our core, like, holy cow, we can be a cog in the entire Web3 machinery. And if we can make that cog easy and invisible, like this is a company that can live indefinitely. And I think that was like a wow, big moment for us. And as we started doing the migration, what we thought was like going to be a remodel on a house, we started remodeling, and it was like very quickly we're like, oh man, this is we need to completely tear this down and start from scratch. And I think that's what's happened. So if you've ever done a remodel, there's a big difference between, you know, redoing your kitchen and starting fresh, right? And so we basically started fresh because the vision now is so much larger that things you described, like a jump tool or teams being able to integrate this natively, you know, we have to make it easy for them, right? And so, like when we've talked to whatever Yuga in the past, right? How do you bring assets from other chains into the other side metaverse, right? We want that to be easy for them, and the easiest way is through Emblem Vault, like period, full stop. Like if they want to do that, we have to be able to make that easy for them. And so we have to make all this tooling and all the stuff in the background where when they launch other side really and really want it to be cross chain and bring people to bring in assets from Solana or Bitcoin or whatever, who are they going to use? Like we want them to use Emblem Vault. We think Emblem Vault's going to be the best solution for that. We have to build all this tooling, and it's obviously the tremendous amount of work that Shannon has done over the last 6 months is just like it's impossible to describe the amount of work that one person can do. But he's done it, and obviously we just need a little bit of help to kind of push this. We're on the 10-yard line. We have another 10 yards to go, right? The vast majority of it is done, but the last 10% can be tough, and so we're getting there is kind of what I would say. But this ease of functionality, mobile ready, all these sort of things that were basically dreams a year ago are right here, and it's impossible to be more excited than I am about what's happening. Because it's just like we're building a foundational layer for Web3, and most people don't get it right now. Most people still don't understand it. Even people in this space still don't necessarily understand what that means, because we're all stuck in this siloed ecosystem of I'm Solana, I'm on Bitcoin, I'm on Ethereum. But take yourself out 5 years where you just have a wallet or a thing, right? Where your login is whatever it is, and how your assets move and all that sort of stuff is invisible in the back end. That's a vision that we're going to help support. And trust me, Web3 will get there. Whether it takes 5 years, 10 years, whatever, the infrastructure we're building now is it's going to be a key part of it. And I'm pumped, bro. Impossible.
Yeah, me too. I pinned to the top also the Emblem Vault thread that covers some of the SDK. It has links and all that information in there. And so, we at this current state also we brought on Chris, who's joined the team officially. So now we have 6 members officially as of today. A little background about Chris, and I'll let him kind of talk as well. Chris lives out here in Vegas with me. We had a previous business together called Native Research out in Las Vegas, which was kind of like a crypto consultation group where we talked with gaming control boards and politicians and institutions in Vegas of how to streamline crypto adoption. And so, I reached out to Chris. Chris has been in the space even longer than I have. Very knowledgeable person. And so he's going to be helping us with pretty much everything as well. Obviously non-dev work, but as you guys have become familiar with him over the last few months, as you could tell, he has a very deep understanding of how financial markets work and tokenomics and crypto community. So we're very excited to have Chris on the team. Chris, if you just want to tell us a little bit about, your background and your experience with Emblem over the last, I think it's been 3 months now, maybe 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, definitely over the last couple months, it's kind of been a crazy ride. We got familiar with Emblem probably around 2020 when we started getting into Rare Pepe NFTs and everything like that. And it was kind of easy to just be like, oh, that's really cool. They're bringing these assets over from Counterparty and you can trade them on Ethereum. But it's like extremely easy to discount how technically difficult that is. And it's kind of shown in the market that there's not another product like it at the moment or anywhere even close, actually. So just kind of getting more familiar with the product and everything that you guys have built before I arrived and everything that Shannon's been able to do and Eric. And it's like seriously incredible. It's like one of the most exciting things that I've seen ever since I really got into Bitcoin and was able to like deep dive that technology and kind of understand like how valuable it is and how much it can really do to change so many different industries. And so when you're thinking of something like Emblem, you're literally trading the native asset on a completely separate chain completely free of any type of friction. And it's not a burn and mint tool. It's not a placeholder for the asset. It's the actual asset itself based on the keys. And so just that technology alone that can be implemented across pretty much every blockchain today is really, really crazy. So the vision for Emblem over the, since you guys have gotten there and since I've grown to kind of become a lot more familiar with it, has grown just completely exponential because there's so many crazy different use cases that you can do with it. And a lot of them aren't even very clear at the moment just because the industry itself is so young. And so a lot of these use cases for something like Emblem will just continuously progress as the entire industry gets built out a little bit further. But in order to make that vision kind of, really, really plausible, like Eric said, or like Adam said, we kind of just had to backtrack a little bit and make sure that we had the strongest foundation possible. And it's easy to just be like, oh man, let's just recreate all of this and it'll be done in a few weeks. But anyone in tech kind of understands that that's not a reality, and to go back from square one and make sure that you have the strongest foundation possible and you're prepared to kind of upgrade your whole entire system so that you can continuously build on it without a ton of tech debt and a ton of mess going forward. It's going to take a little bit. So, Jake, me, Adam, we see it all the time. Like, the migration really needs to be finished. It's like, guys, we're pretty aware that it needs to be finished. We would love for it to be finished as well. But, there's no product like Emblem on the market today. And these assets, these vaults are housing some of the most valuable NFTs in the entire market today when the company is so young and it still has no competition. But that just kind of shows like the power of everything that we're building at such a young stage. It's still able to have, house all of these valuable assets without any kind of worry that they'll be hacked or kind of be able to be circumvented in any type of way. So it's seriously been a huge thrill and a huge like privilege to work on Emblem and everything that we're building, and the things that are coming after we finish kind of upgrading the whole systems are going to be super fun. And the fact that they've been able to kind of, we spent some time on migration and then we want to work on bells because that's a new hot topic, or we want to switch over to ordinals, and we're kind of juggling all these things at once. As soon as the migration's done and we can kind of really focus on all the fun things and futuristic things that we can build, that's when Emblem really kind of takes over. If you can see slowly, we have our roots in all of these different communities because Emblem is like, really the base of all of these communities, because we can kind of help assist move assets from chain to chain. And so as soon as we finish this migration, it's just going to be, pedal to the metal, and I don't think that there's anything stopping what we're going to be building.
Yeah, extremely, extremely well said. Yeah, moving into kind of migration, right? Like kind of what happened here was I didn't learn this actually until recently. So to even prepare for migration on the back end, it takes almost 3 days of preparation work. Also, we were fortunate enough to get all of the Pepes, or at least the majority of them, over before this bull market really picked up when gas fees were low. But the simple fact of, we spent probably $25,000 to $30,000 just migrating Rare Pepe, right? And that was when gas was around 7. Now gas is around 30, and now it's just like not even economically feasible for us to do. We don't even have that much capital to do it, right? So it's put us in a very interesting and precarious situation where it's like you have these assets that are now stuck. We've talked with all these VCs to try to get funding. They're not interested, or they don't see the vision yet. We do believe once Emblem Markets is live, they'll probably see the vision. That's like the aha moment. But getting there, right, is kind of the situation. So, we've come to figure out like, how do we, satisfy all of these? First, we have to, have vaulting and unvaulting we have to add vaulting and unvaulting support for another 20 collections or so. And then, a bunch of those assets are on the other side. So I think the solution that we're going to be moving forward to is almost this like user enabled migration. It's going to take us a few weeks to build, but pretty clear this is where the route that it's going, because it also satisfies publishing a new Emblem tool as well. So users that the remaining legacy vaults will be the first ones to be able to experience what this jump feature is. And so within the remaining legacy vaults, there will be a button that says jump or move, and it will move it to the right curated collection, whether you want to move it to Emblem Open, which is like our general collection. Emblem Open is just the upgraded version of the Emblem Legacy. It acts in this most similar way. Or, right, if it's a Rare Pepe vault, you can move it to Rare Pepe, right? It puts the gas fee on the user, which we're aware of. But it takes a lot of development time off of us to where the user can then decide what they want to do with it to each collection. Because a major issue that we had when migrating was this idea of like 2 assets being in a single vault, right? So when you're writing a script, the script on the back end doesn't know the value of these counterparty assets. I'm just using counterparty as an example here, right? So if you have Rare Pepe, which is a Nakamoto card, and you have Pepe Cash, right? The script doesn't know that there's a difference in value of these because there is no Bitcoin oracle that exists that we can quote price off of. So we had to basically omit migrating assets that had 2 or more, or vaults had 2 or more assets, because there's no way for us to know, hey, right, if Kane has these 2 assets in there, which one does he want the vault to go to? Does he want it to go to Emblem Open? Does he want it to go to the Nakamoto vault? Does he want it to go to the Pepe Cash vault, right? Like there's so many of these edge cases that exist that's why a lot of these assets were skipped over, because it's just there's a limited amount of Bitcoin NFT infrastructure that exists, and there's no chain link. Although, Track and some of these teams are now attempting to do that at the time, and it still does not exist. So adding this move button or this jump button inside all the legacy vaults will, we believe, satisfy a lot of that. It's going to take a few weeks, and I'm not going to put a time limit on it, but it should be soon. It is definitely our focus because we do want to move past to it. Our 2 focuses right now is wrapping up legacy and Emblem markets, right? Those are the 2 things, the 2 kind of centerpieces to where we need to go. So go ahead, Ken.
Hey everybody, Happy New Year. I'm doing a toxic positivity thing. It's been going great. I've been having a wonderful time trolling people with it. Not you guys though. One, people throw around a lot of superlatives and use the word love pretty fucking cavalier. I genuinely love Emblem Ball. And it's the only thing that I've had for a really long time that makes me feel smart around smart people. And I use your technology as a blunt implement to hit people with whenever they try to make me feel stupid, because I say that I can move things from one blockchain to another. I fucking can. I can do it, and I have done it, and suck a fat dick, because you don't know nothing about Emblem Ball. I feel like that girl in the Joe Clark movie was, you don't know nothing about Mr. Clark, and I stand there with an Emblem Vault t-shirt and I yell at them, and it's very fun with my picky hair. Anyway, because the girl had picky hair. So I'm happy that you guys are doing stuff. I think what you're doing is great. I don't think people say that to you enough. I'm personally willing to wait till whenever shit's done, because I can't bake cake, nor do I have the ability to help you make cake. So I'll just wait till cake's done, and I'll just sit here and not bang my fork and knife on the table most of the time. But you did say the B word, and when you say the B word, I get all bricked up. You said the word back. Now, did I hear you right that batching is available through the SDK?
Yes, for the most part. So Shannon will be able to explain it a little bit better, but I put it in the thread that, so the SDK, users can basically create a batch mint tool through their own interface, which then links to the curated collection. So how the SDK kind of works is you could build the tooling around it, and you could mint to any collection based off of the parameters that exist. But that batch tool, that batch infrastructure is there. So if you are listening and you want to create that batch tool, just go into our development chat in the Discord, and Shannon can properly direct and add whatever you need, because people who build their front end, it's all a little different. So some of it just needs like a little tweaking, but like I would say probably 80 to 90% of the tools there to create a batch tool is there in the SDK right now.
So in other words, it's not like you're going to be able to just go and like push a button and batch mint, if you know what I'm saying.
Adam, you're echoing. I think you hit
Oh, sorry.
Yes. All right, there you go.
It's a habit.
No, that was the resonance of his brilliance. Don't take that away from him. Don't take it away from him.
I'm out spaces all the time, and it's like, I'm looking at Jake on the screen on my computer in front of me, but my brain just immediately goes to the phone and like unmute, because I'm on goddamn spaces all day long. But you know what I'm saying, Kane, about just for it to be ready, like where you can just go use it. You're gonna have to give us a little time and wait till we have it up on our own site, if you know what I mean.
But if somebody wants to go out and build it, there's even an economic incentive for somebody to go out and build it using the SDK to where, right? Like the Emblem vaulting fee is 20, but we could set it if somebody's there to 15 or 10, and then whoever builds that tool can profit the difference or set it however they want.
I think I know just such a gentleman who would be interested in that. One, two. Like I said, I can't bake cake, and I think Shannon and all of you know the levels of my stupid. So don't think I'm sitting around figuring out how to make the flux capacitate, because I'm not going to be doing anything like that ever.
Well, you might know a guy. You might know a guy though.
Yeah, I know a guy who owes a guy who owes a guy. It's the whole thing. I'm a man of the people, so I can find you the guy. It just ain't me. It's never me. Never will be me. I'm as sure as I'm sitting here holding a premium baby.
Do you eat cake though?
I literally just finished cake. We were talking earlier. I finished the last slice of my Guyanese Christmas cake, which is the best cake you can have, whether you're Guyanese or not. However, I just wanted to say to you guys, listen, you guys are great. I have a new collection coming, and I look forward to whatever the process is whenever you're done for getting my green banner and making your life harder.
Nice.
Yeah, appreciate you, Kane. As always, dude, one of the true believers and users of it. Really, really appreciate that. Yeah, it's it's an exciting time. We're ready to go now, and now with additional help of having 2 GigaBrain devs on the back end working, we really feel like we could push it forward. One of our plans is at the end of the month, I think every Thursday, the last Thursday of every month, we're going to do an Emblem town hall. So this was kind of like a preface to what's coming. But the last Thursday of the month, we're going to start doing these larger community spaces. And that's when we'll reveal any kind of new products or any type of major updates, so that it could be very fair in terms of just like Emblem infrastructure in general. So keep that in mind. But with Emblem Markets, right, the kind of the vision is that it's going to be a chain agnostic marketplace. It's going to take steps to get there. But basically the main idea would be you have one single Rare Pepe collection, and in that Rare Pepe collection, there's going to be vaults that are Rare Pepe on Polygon, Rare Pepe on Bitcoin, Rare Pepe on Ethereum. But the user won't really know that. They'll just see Rare Pepe and they'll just see the Nakamoto card. And when they purchase it, they can either buy the asset on the chain that it exists, or they will have the option for it to be delivered to wherever Emblem exists, right? So when we deploy on Solana, I think a lot of people will end up probably converting or moving a lot of stuff to Solana just because of the low trading fees. But the deliverable of having a user get it wherever they want, and if they want to pay the gas fee for it, that'll be kind of where it's going. So just one collection, like the difference is here. I'll use like Magic Eden, for example, they've done a great job with their cross-chain marketplace, but you have to kind of select, right, what chain you want to trade on. There's 5 buttons, I think, at the top. There's like Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. With this, there's no option. It's one chain agnostic marketplace to have it delivered wherever you want. Another component of it is the App Store. So we'll be featuring 2 different sections of it, or 3, I guess. One is the APIs that we offer, and then 2 different sections. One will say built with Emblem, and then built by Emblem. And so built by Emblem is obviously Emblem Vault products that are created, and then built with Emblem will be users who use our SDK to build products, and you'll be showcased directly on our marketplace for everybody to see. And that's what we hope to encourage. We also have another section. I'm not going to say it now, but for us we've been thinking very heavily about kind of like where the future of crypto is going and like what the future business models are. Obviously, right now, the $20 fee model, you know, it's there, it exists. You know, that's not the end point of where we want to be. We want to move to something that's a little bit more crypto native, or maybe even a little bit more fintech native. And so we're exploring a lot of those options. Obviously, trading fees, right? Like royalties officially go to 0 March 1st. And so we'll have a marketplace fee on Emblem markets, but there's no way for us to, you know, generate revenue on OpenSea or anything like that, because its royalties are going to be optional. So we're going to offer different types of incentives on Emblem markets to encourage vaulters and people to trade on it through a variety of mechanisms that we're really exploring. Obviously, we have Coval as well. And so we're looking for different ways to integrate Coval into it. Obviously, right, the fun things to do, like burning Coval and staking Coval, are the first two things that we came to think about. But it's, as of now, it's not allowed in the US, unfortunately. So we're getting creative in terms of what we want to do with Coval as well. But you know, it's going to be really exciting moving forward. And I couldn't be more excited about Emblem markets. And then once we hire one more person, a front end person, we'll have a team of 7, and that'll probably be it for a while in terms of anything.
That leads me to my question, Jake.
Yeah.
And I did have bulleted if you were when you were hiring that 7th employee. But my question, only because I don't mean to interrupt. I wanted to say congratulations, first of all, on the SDK. As someone who's been in product teams and multi-chain marketplaces, it's no small feat, and it's something that is a very obvious, great groundwork to lay. I'll say that. Everybody else is going to ideate their own ideas based off of it, which is fantastic. The second thing is a more technical question. One, in this SDK now, because I haven't had time to scan it, is there a possibility or a scenario to create where there could be a vault, like an empty vault created, that could be permissionlessly stuffed? Or
I'd have to talk with Shannon. He knows a little bit more of the technicals, but if it's something that you're looking for, right, where you essentially, are you asking to
create an empty vault, basically?
Create an empty vault?
I think pretty much you can do that. You should be able to do that, I would think.
Well,
that's what I'm thinking. Like, it's just based off of what I'm hearing, but
yeah, I would say so. Come into the Discord and then development chat, and so Shannon said all vaults are empty when they're created. So I guess it just depends on like what you want to do. There's a variety of things that people ask. He said all vaults. He said all vaults are empty when created out of the box with the SDK.
Beautiful. And that's basically what I meant. If it's empty to start, you could sort of create a narrative of how it gets filled over time.
You can fill it later and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. Okay. Second thing would be with all of the interchain operability you guys are talking about, like something that I see as being important, and maybe that's just me. These are the types of roles I had in a lot of companies, establishing like filters and hierarchies, etc. But you have a big opportunity for metadata standards, like to establish them. And that is just so massive across them. Like I really hope, and look, DM me. I love this stuff, like getting into the what's going to work for the most people.
Yep.
When and where, and what are the strengths and weaknesses of each one? What redundancies do you need? What redundancies do you need to avoid? All that kind of stuff. I love that master data management thing. So I'm really, really interested in what you guys can do to help us with some of those standards.
You know, it's a really good point. I would encourage you to just, again, come in the Discord and talk with Shannon. We were actually literally having this conversation last night or yesterday. We were looking at different cross-chain projects or that have migrated. Really, the only example right now is DGods and Utes. And so we were exploring how to create a general metadata management database for cross-chain interoperability. Literally exactly was that conversation.
See, Kane, this is my cake right here. This is my cake 100%. This is the shit that I truly live for. And
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the mirth in your voice. I just want to remind you to never do it to me. He did this shit to me. He ran up on me trying to capacitate my flux, and I was very offended, and I had to step off. And I told him, I was like, step off from doing the hump. And then I just did the Humpty dance for 4 minutes straight right in front of him, just to remind him that I'm an idiot and I'm not to be spoken to this intelligently.
I don't know what metadata is. I don't need to know what metadata is.
That really happened in Miami. He was like, back the fuck off, give me 5 feet. I asked for a while. And before we start talking, and it was a good moment.
Oh,
yeah, 4 minutes. I put him on a 4-minute timeout that he was not allowed to speak directly to me. He had to go through Blinky or through Bunzy because I wouldn't let him talk to me direct because he's inappropriate. He's super inappropriate. I am not Shannon. And if you ever talk to me like I am Shannon, I get very confused. And then you fry my hard drive, and I don't like it. I need my hard drive for video games and making up lies to tell my wife. So if I can't properly lie to my spouse because you fricasseed my fucking data RAM with all your questions, I'm gonna be divorced because of you. That's not what you or anyone else wants.
I'm not a homewrecker, man. I'm not. I swear.
Had me fooled.
You can be our metadata guy. Yeah. Jump in the Discord and help us organize
I love it, man.
Yeah. Please join the conversation.
Absolutely.
Come in the Discord and hop around. We're looking for, a few people have reached out to us about the SDK, but we want to build it and add different type of features to whatever anybody wants, right? It makes it easier for everybody. So yeah, please join the conversation. I pinned to the top here first, a rare Pepe card just sold for 7 ETH. We did just launch our Emblem sales bot. So if you haven't followed it, please make sure that you give it a follow. Big sale, rare coin meme. I haven't seen that.
That's a new one. Interesting.
Yeah, so big sale. So make sure that you follow that sales bot. We'll be editing it and adding to it as more legacy collections are kind of added to it. So yeah, we've been working hard. It's a very, very exciting time. Dogfather, I know you asked a question an hour ago, and now I'm an hour into this. Do you have any questions about the SDK or any of the progress?
Yeah, it would be interesting to know what are the kind of conditions to use the SDK. Is it like free? Do you need to pay for that? Who can get it? It's also like for a data nerd like myself, just getting the hands on the data. All these things would be super interesting to know.
Yeah, so right now it's free. I believe you don't even need a key. You just go in and go ahead and use it. We are with the new Emblem.finance front end, we are going to have a leaderboard on there for 3 different categories to start, which is vaults created, vaults unlocked, and then vaults owned. So those will be kind of simple kind of vault stuff. There is going to be an activity. There's going to be an activity page where you can see on Emblem.finance vaults that are being created, traded, burned, etc. across all the different chains. So that'll be cool for aggregation. But yeah, with the SDK, you could just go ahead and use it right now. We're encouraging anybody to. And if there are any type of specific stats and analytical additions you'd like, just hop in the Discord and talk with Shannon. And so it helps us get a better direction of what Emblem builders are looking for.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So one thing I'm looking forward to, I mean, on the Rare Peppy or counterparty side, we have Peppy What the Fuck. This for Doge Party, there's not anything like, and once the curated collections there, I would love to do something. I mean, on a way smaller scale, but at least to have some stats for that collection as well.
Cool. Yeah, we'll make sure that we have some analytical additions to it as well. I'm excited also for Doge Party to come back, right? With the Spark and Dogenals, you kind of hope that it comes back to Doge Party. Although, with the Spark and Bitcoin ordinals, I don't think it's really happened on Counterparty too much yet. But Doge is that it's a different type of animal.
Well, it does. I mean, at a minimum, ordinals did bring this wider awareness. That necessarily hasn't translated into sales, but of course, we're in the middle of a bear market, right? So, but I think from an awareness perspective, I mean, just huge gains, I think, in awareness. So where Pepe's are, Counterparty, all that, I think it was a super net positive, in my opinion.
Yeah. The goal is to have a curated collection for pretty much every ordinal collection, for every atomical collection, for pretty much everything is really the goal, to really have it interoperable. There's so many Bitcoin meta protocols that are popping up now. It's like, it's infinite amounts of support. We've taken a little bit more of a direct approach to for partnerships. So if anyone's interested in official partnership or know a good partner, please just shoot it our way. Like, I've been talking with Track about, some potential collaborations there, different type of bridges we've been speaking with, different types of marketplaces. Really want to have that focus there. That was part of the intention of the SDK. Go ahead, Dogfather.
Yeah, so I think we should not underestimate the whole attention economy. So I'm not a big marketing guy, but I mean, we all know this AIDA concept, where you first need to create attention, then interest, then desire, then action. And I mean, if you already know about, rep happies, for example, that doesn't mean you buy immediately, but
Sure.
at least you have the first kind of step made. Next time you may already have some interest, you have some good, like Pepe, what the fuck, and other places to inform yourself. And then once the next wave is coming, and some insiders and influencers decide to push this because they have their bags packed, then the whole action is going and people actually buy. But if you don't already know a certain collection and a certain, history, you will never buy.
100%.
So let's not underestimate this attention and interest steps before you actually see sales. It may be a longer process, but having all these things out and the infra built is extremely important once that the train is moving and people actually want to buy the stuff because they see it and people talk about that massively. And you never know when this next cycle is starting. So yeah, let's see. But let's build it. Let's have it there, and be prepared.
Yeah, Pepe is always going to be Emblem's, kind of like crown jewel collection, or the community that we lead with. So any type of like new products that are introduced, unless we're using the Emblem test collection to literally test things, Pepe's are going to be the first one to be deployed on every chain, right? Probably once we deploy on Bitcoin ordinals, which we have found a way to do this. And so we're talking with different teams. Pepe will be probably the first collection that exists as Bitcoin ordinals. Right. Then when we go to Solana, Pepe's will be the first ones on Solana, etc. And that's really, really exciting because the Pepe community, it's so large and there's so much interest in different blockchains. Some people want to go to Solana for speed. Some people want to go to Bitcoin because that's where Pepe exists, right? That's where it was born. Different types of liquidity. Some people just want Pepe on Ethereum to hang in their metaverse, right? Like one of the biggest Pepe holders on Emblem is 6529 in their capital, and we have a direct line of communication with them. And their intention is not to trade any of these Pepes. They use Emblem as literally just a means to take Pepe into their metaverse, and so that they could showcase the things that they hold. So it's just like it's impossible to know what users are going to actually want. And so this is why one of the ethos is to just meet collectors where they are and really just prepare and set up shop on every chain possible so that users can do whatever they want with it, whether they want to import value, take their Pepe to go be in the next, NFT Ponzi, whether it's on Solana or Ethereum or Blast or whatever it is. It's impossible to know, right? But as the bull run comes, I think it'll be a little bit more obvious of where people want to go. So yeah, it's an exciting time, guys. We will do an Emblem town hall last Thursday, so 4 weeks from now, or 3.5 weeks from now. I want to start doing like PowerPoints and kind of like big updates, but I wanted to get this kind of starter out of the way so we can have kind of a fun time. If anybody else has any questions, we do have what is it? Unfuddable. Do you have any questions? That's how you join the stage.
G'day, gentlemen. G'day. Pleasure to be here amongst such great innovators like yourselves. And not more of a question, more of an observation. I've observed my innate power to develop, aka inscribe, on Bell Chain. And I love what Adam has said. He has turned DJs into devs. So I appreciate Adam for evolving my degeneracy into a developer. And I really enjoy this process. I am evolutionizing my consciousness. I feel like I feel like Bitcoin is mine now. I feel like I'm a young man. I'm 26 years old. I'm full of vigor. I have the fire of youth in my belly. And Adam and the Emblem crew have awakened that fire to capture the blockchain. And this is my vision now. I believe I can start inscribing. I want to make projects. I want to take people's money
Let's
now.
go, man. Yeah, baby.
Sorry, not take. Sorry. Transfer the value of artwork. And I wanted just to say, can we not? Can we just delay as much as possible in making a wallet for Bell's Chain? Because I want to inscribe.
Bro wants to inscribe the next 5 million before anybody else gets a chance to do it. I hear you, bro.
Look, you want to inscribe Nook? You got to go on the journey.
You got to figure it out, bro. Literally, this is facts, bro. I literally figured it out today. I finally figured it out. I finally got it done today because I didn't want to do it on my other computer. I literally went out and bought a new computer for my kid for school, and I was like, well, let me do it on this one because I know I can wipe it, and I want to be safe about how I'm minting and all this sort of stuff. And so, like, I literally inscribed my first ones today, bro. And it's like, it's nice when you see those numbers churn through, and it's like, oh my god, I'm a coder now.
You got to make 8 wallets, Jake. You got to make 8 wallets. Load up 10 Bell in each wallet, right? And you want to mint because you can actually set the amount of mints if you just press a number after. And I do the number 28 because that's the number of wealth. And I just go from wallet 1, boom, mint 28 Nook. Wallet 2, boom, mint there too. Wallet 3, boom, 28 Nook. And I just rinse and repeat. So appreciate the opportunity that you guys have provided.
I'm glad you're having fun with it, man. Much like Casey said, possibly it's just ordinals are just a psyop to get everybody to run a full Bitcoin node. Maybe Bells is just a psyop to get everybody to become a coder. I don't know, man. Because like literally, and for you guys in the audience who don't know what he's talking about, to mint or inscribe, Bellscriptions or ordinals or whatever you want to call it on Bell's blockchain, like you have to figure out some coding stuff. Like right now, the only people on earth who are inscribing stuff are basically have figured out this coding mechanism. And people have done how-tos and videos and stuff, but still it's a non-zero event. It's not super easy to do. It takes time. You got to really figure it out. And so, yeah, literally, I think we're bumping up against like 5 million inscriptions now. And it's all, in theory, it's people who figured it out, coders. And so
so
and just
these
for my
folks are
thing, the
frying
amount
my
of
hard
dopamine
drive.
I have gotten once I figured out what you just did, Jake, I got more dopamine from that first inscription than like 100xing my meme coins. It's amazing.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. That is awesome to hear. Adam is the meme coin king now. It's crazy that Bells is now over 5 million. I think it sure as hell feels like it's here to stay.
Hello, friend.
yeah, I figured he was that guy. I figured he was a nothing, man. When somebody raises their hand, he's raised his hands now on like 3 of our spaces, and yet he doesn't follow any of us. And I'm like, why are you here, bro?
So what's the update? Just a quick update before we close it up. What's the update on Bellscriptions?
So they're live, but it's still technically challenging to do. It's not a zero. I mean, anybody if you're like a developer or a coder or have any experience doing like inscribing stuff on ordinals or anything, it'll take you 15 minutes to figure out. It's relatively easy. But for monkeys like me who are just like, doing it wrong and can't figure it out, it's a little bit of a challenge. But it can definitely be figured out. Like you can do it. People are in the Discord. Literally the entire Discord chat is people figuring it out and working through errors and stuff like that. So like I encourage people to go in. Like obviously there have been a bunch of like 10Ks already inscribed. And we had kind of a public one, which was like the punks. That took a couple days to get through because, like myself, I thought it would have been done immediately. I thought people would have had it lined up and ready to go. Turns out it wasn't. And somebody built an interface where you could actually see which ones were still available. But those minted out relatively quickly. But like if you want to go mint your, I don't know, Frog 10K, like you can go do it. And it's probably going to cost you like $100 maybe to inscribe 10,000. It's super inexpensive. It's literally the dust of pennies to inscribe stuff. And so it's very, very friendly once you know what you're doing. And I haven't done any images yet. I'm sure I'll do some today just to figure it out. I just inscribed some Nook, which is like the first token. But Nook, it's still, I want to say it's less than 5% minted.
It's like a sats almost.
Yeah, it's like the inscribe. It's like it's going to need like, I don't know, 100 million inscriptions to mint out or some craziness. So just get in there, have fun. Yeah. And definitely the Discord is open and people are very helpful in there to try and get you up to speed.
Can I just ask one more question about the SDK before you wrap it up?
Yeah, of course.
Go, man.
So the how much of it, and it's okay if it's 100% or 0, there's no judgment in this, but how much of it relies on your back end to run now and in perpetuity?
I'll let Shannon, if you could post the answer in the development chat. I see Swalja's already commented in there, so I'll let Shannon post the technicals. I'm not the technical guy, so
yeah, I just mean like if you're building on it now, like, and then you guys have a change or an upgrade or a platform change or move to Cabo or something like that. Make sure shit still works. That's all.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's a good question. I'll let Shannon respond to that once he gets around to it in the development. But I see you posted there, so I'll make sure that we get there. So good question. Appreciate it. All these questions, everything, it helps us move the conversation and the space forward. So yeah, excited for that. What a fun space! Holy crap! I thought this would be like a 30-minute space. Ended up being hour 15. That happens every single time. Appreciate everyone who's come on, dude. It's going to be a really fun and good year in 2024. A lot of big things coming from the Emblem side. A lot of just cross-chain interoperability across not even just Emblem, but just bridges are popping up more. A lot more interest. Bitcoin ordinals are taking off. Right. Now there's a Bitcoin ordinals cabal with node monkeys. It's the tides are changing, but it's exciting. Everyone who's joined in on stage, appreciate it. Make sure that everyone follows the Emblem Vault account. We host this show Tuesday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Sometimes we feature guests. Sometimes we're talking about Emblem. Sometimes it's topics and news headline focused. We'll continue this 3 times per week throughout the rest of the year. Everyone really enjoy. I hope everyone had a good start to the year. Make sure you follow everyone on stage, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, stay safe out there, practice security, and check out the SDK.